For 7 months, Renee woke up 20 minutes before her husband and did something she had never done in 14 years of marriage. She made 2 cups of coffee, one for him, one for herself. That was it. That was the whole strategy. 2 cups of coffee, brewed quietly in the dark before anyone else in the house was awake. And by the time those 7 months were over, she had $1,512 sitting in an account her husband did not know existed, in her name alone, for the first time since she was 23 years old. But here is what I need you to understand before I tell you the rest of this story. Renee was not a dishonest woman. She was not a woman who lied easily, or lived in secrets, or enjoyed any part of what she was doing. She was a woman who had arrived at 46 years old at a moment so quiet and so frightening that only someone who has been there will recognize it immediately. The moment when you realize that you have no money of your own, none, not a single dollar that belongs only to you, and that if something happened tomorrow, you would have nowhere to go and nothing to go with. And there is something else. Something that had been sitting in a drawer in the kitchen for 3 years that I need to tell you about. Something small and almost forgotten that became the most important object in this story. We will get there. But first, you need to know who Renee was, because Renee is more familiar than you might want to admit. Renee worked as a school cafeteria cook in a public elementary school in Akron, Ohio. She had been there for 11 years. Every morning she arrived at 6:45, before the teachers, before the children, before most of the world was properly awake. She unlocked the kitchen herself, turned on the industrial ovens, and started the day in a room that smelled of industrial cleaner and the ghost of yesterday's lunch. She was good at her job in the way that people who are naturally built for quiet service are always good at their jobs, thoroughly, without drama, without needing to be noticed. The children called her Miss Renee, and some of them, the ones from the hardest homes, lingered at her counter longer than necessary just to be in the vicinity of someone who was warm and steady and always glad to see them. Renee noticed those children. She always put a little extra on their trays. She wore the same pair of black orthopedic shoes every day. They had a small scuff on the left toe that she had tried to cover with a black marker twice, and it had never quite matched. She did not think about the shoes much. They were just the shoes. But if you worked with her, you knew them the way you knew the sound of her voice, as part of the permanent landscape of who she was. She had 2 daughters, Amber, 21, away at college on a partial scholarship. Judah, 16, still at home, sharp and watchful, the way daughters who have been paying attention to their mothers for a long time tend to be. Renee's husband, Craig, had been laid off 2 years earlier and had not found steady work since. He managed the household bills. He had always managed the bills. That was how it had been from the beginning, and Renee had not questioned it for 14 years because it had seemed like help and she had been tired enough to take it. What she had not fully understood until 2 years of unemployment and very little conversation about money was that managing the bills had become controlling the money, and controlling the money had slowly become controlling her in the way that water shapes stone. Not in one dramatic moment, but over years of quiet pressure that you do not feel until the shape of you has changed. In the kitchen junk drawer, under a stack of takeout menus and a broken pen and a birthday card from her mother 2 years ago that she had not been able to throw away, was a small red envelope, the kind that comes in a pack of assorted stationery, nothing special. Inside it, Renee had folded a single piece of paper. On it, she had written, in pencil, very small, an address. A studio apartment in a neighborhood 20 minutes from her school. She had driven past it once, on a day when she needed to think, and had gotten in the car without knowing where she was going. The sign in the window had said, "For rent." The number was there. She had never called it. She had written down the address and put it in the red envelope and buried it in the drawer and told herself she was being dramatic. she had not thrown it away. The crisis arrived on a Tuesday afternoon in March, the way crises in quiet houses usually do, not with shouting or drama, but with a door closing and a question asked, in a tone that did not expect an honest answer. Craig had found the bank statement, not her statement. She did not have her own bank statement, the joint account statement, the one that showed her paycheck going in every 2 weeks and then disappearing into the bills he paid and the food he bought and the gas he put in his truck. The statement was routine. She had no reason to think anything was wrong until he walked into the kitchen with it in his hand and said, "Did you take $40 out last Thursday?" She had. She had taken $40 out of the ATM on her lunch break to buy Jada a birthday gift, without it showing up on the account in a way Craig would ask about. Not because the gift was a secret, because she was tired of explaining herself for $40. Tired of the tone, tired of the accounting. She said yes, she had taken it out. He said, "For what?" She said, "Jada's birthday." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You should have told me. We don't just pull money out without talking about it. We don't just pull money out." Renee stood at the kitchen counter and felt something shift inside her that had been shifting for a long time, but had never quite named itself until that exact sentence. She was 46 years old. She had worked every weekday for 11 years and every summer for 8 of those 11. Her name was on the direct deposit. Her labor was the money. And she needed permission to spend $40 on her daughter's birthday. She did not argue. She said, "Okay." She finished making dinner. That night, after Craig was asleep, she sat in the kitchen with the light above the stove on, the one she always left on low, and she opened the junk drawer. She moved the takeout menus. She moved the broken pen. She found the birthday card from her mother. And underneath it, the small red envelope. She took it out and held it in her hands. She put it back. She sat there for a long time thinking about the $40, about the 11 years, about the joint account with her name on it that she had not once in all those years looked at with the understanding that it was supposed to be hers too. She had $107 in her wallet. That was the sum total of her individual financial existence. $107. And she had earned, conservatively in 11 years at that school, somewhere close to $350,000. She turned off the stove light and went to bed. She lay in the dark next to her husband and made a decision so quiet she barely heard it herself. She was going to build something, slowly, without anyone knowing. She did not know yet what she was building toward, but she was going to start tomorrow morning. Before he woke up, there was a woman who worked the register at the small grocery store near Renee's school. Her name was Miss Francis. She was in her late 70s, had worked that register for going on 15 years, and was the kind of woman whose stillness you could feel from 2 aisles away. Not cold, settled, like someone who had already resolved most of the questions that still kept other people up at night. Renee stopped there most Fridays after work. They had exchanged small talk for years, nothing deep, weather and prices and how the week had gone. But on a Friday in late March, the week after the $40 conversation, Renee set her things on the belt, and when Miss Francis said, "How you doing, baby?" something in Renee's face did not cooperate with the usual answer. Miss Francis looked at her. She did not ask what was wrong. She just waited. The line was short. It was late in the day. Renee said, more quietly than she intended, "I realized this week that I have nothing of my own, not a dollar." Miss Francis nodded slowly, like she had heard this before, like she had maybe lived it before. She bagged the groceries without rushing. She processed the payment. And when she handed back the receipt, she held it for just a moment so Renee had to reach for it. And she said, "You know how I got free?" Renee shook her head. Miss Francis said, "I bought myself a coffee every morning, cash. The same amount, same time, same place. For a year, nobody tracks a coffee." Renee waited for more. There was no more. Miss Francis let go of the receipt. She said, "The coffee was never about the coffee. You understand?" And then the next person's groceries were already on the belt. Renee drove home with those words sitting in her chest like something struck. The coffee was never about the coffee. She thought about it for the rest of that evening. She thought about it while she was cooking, and while she was helping Jada with homework, and while she was lying in the dark after Craig fell asleep. She understood, by morning, exactly what Miss Francis meant. What Renee built over the next 7 months was not just money. It was a new understanding of herself and the world she was actually living in, as opposed to the one she'd been pretending to live in for 14 years. The first thing she understood was the mechanics of invisible money. Craig tracked the joint account the way some people track the weather, broadly by feel, without looking at the specific numbers closely every day. What he would notice was a pattern disruption, a withdrawal larger than usual, a purchase that didn't match her routine. What he would not notice was the complete absence of a small, consistent transaction, because you cannot miss what was never part of the expected landscape. Every morning, Renee withdrew cash from the ATM in amounts that looked like coffee and a snack. Never the same amount 2 days in a row, never more than $8 or $12 at a time, always on days when she drove herself to work. What she did not spend on coffee, she folded and put into a white business envelope inside her work bag. This was not elaborate. It was invisible because it was small and repetitive and entirely consistent with the behavior of a woman who bought herself a coffee in the morning. Nobody investigates ordinary. The second thing she understood was why she had not done this sooner, and the answer was shame. Not shame at hiding money, shame at needing to. She had internalized over 14 years the belief that needing money of her own was a sign of mistrust, that a good wife did not keep financial secrets, that the joint account was proof of togetherness, and the desire for something separate was proof of something wrong with her. She had confused financial entanglement with love, and she had to sit with the discomfort of discovering that they are not the same thing. Love does not require you to dissolve. And a woman who has nothing of her own is not safer for being that way. She is more exposed. The third thing she understood was about the red envelope in the drawer. She had put it there and not thrown it away because some part of her, the part that was not yet ready to name what was happening but was already responding to it, had known she might need an exit point one day. She had not called the number on the paper. She had no plan to leave. But the address existed in the drawer, the way an emergency exit exists in a building you hope never catches fire. Not because you are planning for disaster, because you are a person who understands that disasters exist and that being unprepared for them is its own kind of danger. She stopped being ashamed of the red envelope. She started being grateful for the woman who had put it there 3 years ago, before she had the words for what she was doing. The fourth thing was harder. She had to face what financial dependence had cost her, not in the dramatic sense, not in the sense of dramatic events, but in the daily sense. Every time she wanted to do something small and stopped herself because she would have to account for it. Every time she second-guessed a purchase before she made it. Every time she felt the particular kind of loneliness that comes from having money that passes through your hands and leaves no trace of your own life in it. She had been erased from her own finances, and the erasure had happened so gradually that she had mistaken it for normalcy. The fifth thing she understood was about Jada. Her 16-year-old, sharp and watchful. One evening, Jada came to sit on the edge of the bed while Renee was putting away laundry, and she said, out of nowhere, "Mum, do you have your own bank account?" Renee stopped folding. She looked at her daughter. Jada said, "My friend's mom just went through something and she had nothing. I just want to know that you have something." Renee did not answer right away, But she thought about it for days. Her daughter was watching. Her daughter was learning from what she saw. And what she had been seeing for 16 years was a woman who worked full-time and owned nothing of her own. What Renee built in those 7 months was not just for herself. It was the first lesson she would ever teach her daughter about money that she was proud of. The sixth thing was the resolution of what she had been carrying since the very beginning of this story, the thing she had not yet named, the real reason. She had $250,000 worth of labor behind her and $107 to show for it. It was not Craig, not only Craig. It was that she had never believed, somewhere underneath the daily routine of her life, that the money was hers. She had believed it was the household's money, and that the household had a manager, and that she was not the manager, and that this was fine. She had signed her financial existence over to an arrangement she had never examined, and the arrangement had slowly become the architecture of her life. The $1,512 in the account she opened at the credit union on her lunch break on a Tuesday in April was the first money she had ever looked at and thought, "This is mine. I made this. It belongs to me. Nobody else has a claim on it." That thought at 46 years old felt like the first breath after a very long time underwater. The seventh thing was the simplest and the most complete. A woman who has something of her own makes different choices than a woman who has nothing. Not because the money is large, not because the account changes her circumstances overnight, but because the knowledge that there is something there, that she is not entirely at the mercy of another person's management of her own labor, changes the emotional register of every decision she makes from that point forward. The $40 conversation could still happen. The tone could still come. But Renee would no longer be standing at that counter with everything to lose and nothing to stand on. She would be standing on something, small but solid. And solid is all you need to start. By October, the account had $1,512 in it. She had also, in that same period, done something she had not done in 14 years. She had requested a copy of her own credit report. She had never looked at it. She had assumed it was fine. It was not fine. There were 2 small accounts she had forgotten about, and 1 late payment from 9 years ago that had never been resolved properly. She had not known because she had not looked. She started the process of cleaning it up methodically, 1 phone call at a time, on her lunch breaks, in the car in the school parking lot before she drove home. She had also, quietly and without announcing it to Craig, opened a checking account at the same credit union. A direct deposit split, $30 per paycheck, routed automatically to the credit union account, the rest going to the joint account as always. $30 per paycheck, $60 a month, on top of the coffee money. Craig did not track the deposit to that level of detail. He saw the same amount he always saw arriving in the joint account. The $30 was invisible. One of the teachers at the school had mentioned in the break room an app she used to track her personal budget, the Woman's Lesson Finance app, free, with digital envelopes you could set up yourself. 1 for savings, 1 for spending, 1 for goals. Renee had downloaded it that same afternoon and set up 3 envelopes. Mine, Steady, and Jada. The Steady envelope was for the automatic $30. The Mine envelope was for the cash she added when she could. The Jada envelope was something new, something she had started building toward without naming yet. Looking at those 3 envelopes on her phone, in the parking lot on a Thursday afternoon in October, Renee felt something she had not felt in 14 years of marriage. She felt like a woman with a plan. In November, there was a new teacher's aide at the school. Her name was Vanessa, 38 years old, recently separated. 2 children in the building's own classrooms, a look behind her eyes that Renee recognized immediately because she had worn it herself for years. The look of a woman doing the math in her head constantly and never quite making it add up. They started eating lunch at the same table most days, not because they had decided to, Because the break room was small, and they were both early, and the conversation was easy in the way it is easy between women who have understood hard things. One afternoon in late November, Vanessa said very quietly, "Can I ask you something strange?" Renee said yes. Vanessa said, "How do you have your own money when you're married? Is that allowed, like legally?" Renee looked at her for a moment. She almost said something simple. She almost said, "Of course it is, you just open an account." But she looked at Vanessa's face, and she understood that the question was not really about legality. The question was the one she herself had been afraid to ask for 14 years. The question underneath the question was, am I allowed to want something of my own? She reached into her bag. She took out her wallet, and from behind her insurance card, folded in half, she took out the red envelope. She had moved it from the kitchen drawer 6 months ago. She was not sure why she had started carrying it, but she had. She set it on the table between them. She said, 3 years ago, I wrote down an address on a piece of paper and I hid it in my kitchen because I was too scared to admit what it meant. I didn't throw it away, and not throwing it away is part of why I'm sitting here today with money of my own." Vanessa looked at the envelope. She did not touch it. Renee said, You're allowed to have something of your own. That is not betrayal. That is survival. And survival is not the same as leaving. It just means you're not helpless either way." Vanessa's eyes went somewhere private for a moment. Renee thought of Miss Francis at the register, the bagged groceries. The receipt held just long enough. The coffee was never about the coffee. She said it out loud. The coffee was never about the coffee. It's about being a woman who makes one decision for herself, and then another one, and then another one, until you have something nobody can take from you. Vanessa said, "What do I do first?" Renee picked up her phone. She showed her the 3 envelopes in the app. She talked about it the way you mention something to a friend, without selling it, without making it a lesson. Just, "This is what helped me see it clearly. This is where I put it so I could watch it grow." The bell rang. Lunch was over. Vanessa gathered her things. At the door, she paused and looked back at Renee. She said, "How much do you have now?" Renee said, "Enough to know I have options." That was the whole answer. Enough to know she had options. Walking back to the kitchen, Renee thought of Jada. Sharp and watchful Jada, who had asked her months ago if she had her own account, who had been paying attention all along, who was learning what a woman's financial life looked like by watching her mother every single day. She thought, Jada is watching me be a woman who has options now. That is the lesson that will outlast everything. She pushed open the kitchen door. The ovens were warm. The day smelled like the beginning of the lunch shift. She tied her apron. She put on her black shoes with the scuff on the left toe, and she started the next part of her life the same way she had started the last 7 months of it. One quiet decision at a time. If you have ever felt like the money you earn does not fully belong to you, I want you to sit with what Renee figured out. It was not about hiding. It was not about deception. It was about a woman who looked at her own life clearly, maybe for the first time, and understood that having nothing of her own was not love, and was not loyalty, and was not a good wife. It was just an exposed woman with nowhere to stand. She built a floor. Slowly, 2 cups of coffee at a time, and when she had that floor, everything changed. Not because the money was large, because the ground was hers. You deserve a floor. You deserve something that is yours. Not because anything bad is coming, but because you are a person, not just a function in someone else's financial life. Come into the comments right now and type Day 1. And tell me one thing you are going to do today just for you. Just one thing. It does not have to be big. It just has to be yours. I read every single comment, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And if you have a sister, a girlfriend, a co-worker who is working herself into the ground and has nothing to show for it in her own name, share this video with her today. She needs to know she is allowed to start. One little thing, just between us. The link for the Woman's Lesson Finance app is in the pinned comment right below. Just tap it. It is free, and it is the kind of tool that helps you build your own envelopes, your own plan, your own floor, without anyone needing to know you have started. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, I want you here. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get every story the moment it comes out. Every week, we sit here together and we talk about real things, real women, real lives, real ways through. No performing, no pretending. Just the truth, said with all the love I have. Thank you for watching until the end. Thank you for trusting this space with your time and your heart. I will see you in the next one.